And how are you? Jorge Lopes. I'm Kel Thompson and doing a live interview for creativeprofessionals.com. Creative Professionals, something I started a long time ago, but it's sort of a relaunch, and we help creative professionals to grow their network as well as their net worth. So part of that is to do interviews and networking sessions with Zoom, and that's why we're here. And Jorge Lopes is most known for his film Convicted, which we see behind you or on the green screen. And you are a producer, an actor, as well as a coach, and you work with Tony Robbins.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I was excited to do this with you.
The interviews, I've done a couple of them, and we'll be expanding to whole networking events. So hopefully you can partake in that. One of the things on LinkedIn, I get a lot of people contacting me and messaging me with scripts, and I'm sort of wanting to connect people, be able to talk to people and network. And in addition to be able to showcase people like yourself for additional opportunities and to grow your network and your net worth. So tell me a little bit about your film, or let's start with like how you got here. Like, tell us your background.
Okay. So I wanted to be in film and acting since I was about maybe 14 years old, 15 years old.
And where were you at? Where were you at that time?
In Boston, Massachusetts. I was living in Massachusetts, and that's where I was born and raised. And excuse me. And so around that age, I was hit by the acting bug because I got into an after-school program, which was ran by one of the universities in Massachusetts. And in that program, it was called New Beginnings. What they would do is take the youth in the schools, get them in and try to do activities with them that they would probably be interested in. And what they did is they introduced me to a professor who was basically a teacher he was a professor teaching acting. And so he did something with us. And we were
cool.
to write a script at the time dealing with kids, teenagers dealing with HIV, being infected with HIV or being born with HIV, and how how that played off. And we did that, and then we went around touring and doing this play. And at that point, I started to get into it. And then what really hit me, or when I really feel that I got bit by the bug, is he took us to WGBH, which is Channel 2 in Massachusetts, in Cambridge, Mass. And we had an audition, and for these roles, they were doing something called Listen Up, which was basically, again, for teens, trying to get them to get on the right path, not being on the streets now. And so I was casted as a gang member who was contemplating suicide. And so I did that. And after that, I said, hey, because not only I did it and it was like, okay, I forgot about it. But then people started seeing it, and people was actually coming to me, talking to me about it, and started talking about, their challenges that they were dealing with at the time, whether they had thought about suicide or they were, on that path. So I was like, wow, this really impacts
connected. Yeah, connected. And that was a film?
It was actually, it was basically a short film. And so with that said, is after I did that, I was like, and I was like, wow, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And in Massachusetts at the time, there was no avenues to go further than that.
Right. So you wanted to do it relating to the impact that you had and being able to connect with people in a positive, meaningful way.
Yes. And that's why today, my company, Lopes Brothers Production, what we do is we tell compelling stories that inspires the underdog.
What's the name of it? What's the name of your company again? Lopes Brothers Production. And is that who's involved in that? It's Lopes Brothers. So you have family involved in it?
Yes, I have family. I have brother involved with it. I got a couple of partners involved in the project. In the production company. And what we do as far as the production company, like I said, is we tell compelling stories that inspires the underdog. And that's the only stories we're looking for. We're looking for any story that's going to inspire someone. So if you're an audience member, you watch it, you're inspired to take action and do something with whatever your dream is, follow your dream.
Right.
you know?
Right.
And so
I love that. One of the crux of our film, The Terrible Adventure, is to take action as well. So it's sort of in the same vein. How do you, when you look out, when you say when you're looking for stories, how do you go about finding those stories for your films?
well, it's crazy because when we first started doing that, first off, I'll just tell you a little bit. Well, I'll get back to that.
That's okay.
I'll get back to my other film that we're getting ready to work on right now.
Oh, are you starting production? Oh, you're going to come back to that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that. But the way that we've been doing it is, we looked at it. If we're gonna do something in the industry or anything that you want to do in life, and I think this is a formula that you should always follow, is actually going, shooting for the stars. And what I mean by that is because most people, they start, but they're timid. They're afraid to go after their dream full gusto. And what we did is, we said, hey, if we're gonna do something, we gotta do it as if we're already doing it.
Yeah.
And if there was no limit, nothing held you back, what is it what kind of story would you tell?
I like
That's how we started working and looking at projects that we want to do. Now, the way that I find projects nowadays is right now I have 10 scripts that I'm reading, or that people want me to help them develop the scripts.
Yeah.
And, I have a young lady actually that has about 25 scripts. And the beauty of it is she's actually have the scripts done. I mean, yes, they're going to need a little bit of work, but it's kind of have everything in place. And now it's about picking and choosing and seeing which one we're going to want to tell and actually tell that story.
Yeah.
So, which is great. And so the way that I get a lot of stories right now is a lot of people have been reaching out to me. And they've seen Convicted, they love Convicted, and they're reaching out to me saying, hey, I have this. Would you look at this? And what I tell people really is like, send me the synopsis. And if I like the synopsis, say, not just me, but if I like the synopsis, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share it with my team. And if my team agrees on it, it fits the criteria of what we're looking for films, then it's like, okay, then we'll say, hey, send us the NDA, we'll sign the NDA, and then we'll go ahead and take the script, read the script, spend about a week on it, looking it over, discussing it with the team. And then we come back and meet with the person and give them feedback, whether it's hey, yes, we're going to take it, we love it, and that's what we love about it, or this project's not for us at the moment, right? But you also want to look at these different criteria and go from there, because the thing is, it's all about adding value for us. It's about adding value. How can we add value? If I come into your project right now, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is how can I add value that's going to actually help you move the needle, so towards wherever we're going with your project. So before we even, if I look at your project and I like it and I don't feel like I can add any value, I'm not going to take it. I can say, hey, it's a great project. I don't think I can add value on this. What I can do is recommend you to this person or so if I can do that.
Right. Now, elaborate a little bit on when you say add value, and what capacity might you add value to a project?
Well, okay, so I'll give you a perfect example. Someone comes to me, they have a script, and the script, the first thing we look at is it's got to be the script. You got to look at the script, and you got to make sure that script is as tight as possible as far as the story is telling the story, and there's no holes in there that's going to, no gaps that's going to keep you wondering like what's going on. That you tell a story from beginning to end, you're following the story format. Yeah. So we go through the script, and that's the first thing we're going to add value to, is going through the script and dissect it and say, okay, is it actually compelling enough? Is it, does it have enough conflict? Is the ingredients that it needs to have there? And if they are there, then okay, great. Or if they're not there, let's add this. Let's see what this twist can be. And then we add those. We give you suggestions. And I'm not ever going to say, hey, I need credit for writing because I came in and I said I helped to contribute to the story. No, that's not what we're here for. If I jump on your project, I'm jumping on a project, but that's value that I'm adding right there. Because there are people that have good stories. Right. And I read a script last week, and I love the script. But the thing is, I love the idea of the story. And I'm like, this is a great story. It'd be great. And we have to change a few things around. And when we met with the writer, he was like, well, it's my project. I want creative control. I need to be able to do it. So I'm like, okay, well, we're going to make suggestions, and we're going to give you, reasons why we're making these suggestions. We're not going to say, hey, just change this just to change it. We're going to tell you, change this because XYZ.
Right.
And he wasn't willing to do that. So we said, hey, we can't work with you because you got to be open. I mean, and I understand. Because my first script, I was like that. No, you can't touch my script. You know?
Right.
And everyone feels it's their baby and they want to do that. But the thing is, it takes a village to raise a baby.
It does. So, yeah, it's true.
So with that said, allow the people to come in and contribute as a group. Because right now, Erased, which I just talked about, well, I said I'll get back to.
Right.
Has won over 20 awards for best screenplay.
Wow, so, that's impressive.
You know, I think after 14 or 13 or something like, I just stopped counting.
You're like, we're there.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is we never expected or were never shot to say, hey, we're gonna go ahead and win for best screenplay. That's not what we were looking for. We said, hey, if there's no limits, then what could we create? Yeah. And that's what Erases what it is. And it's won so many awards that it's like, okay, you know what? Okay, yeah, it's an award-winning script. It didn't just win one award. And so with that said, is now we're in the process of you know, we've got it packaged. We have a deal on the table, and what we're waiting right now is we're talking to. I mean, I don't want to mention her name because she hasn't said yes or no yet. Okay. We're talking to an A-lister right now. Yeah. And so she can be the lead. And if she says yes, then you're saying we got the green light. We'll start in August is what we're shooting for. Yeah. It might go a little further, probably in September. But the good thing about it is that it would be shot in Italy, so we don't have to worry about the cold. You know? Yeah, that's exciting. Good. So it's going to be beautiful. So what's your time frame of this project? What would your time frame, like script to distribution, be? Which project are you talking about? Erase? Yeah, Erase coming up. For Erase, I'll say we're on our third year of Erase. We've entered our third year. Okay. Yeah. And you're almost to production. You're basically in pre-production right now. Yes. The first year, it was strictly the script, making sure that we get the script as good as possible. We revised it about 10 times. So by the time, you know, it came out and we started, you know, submitting it, we already had actually gone through it 10 times to make sure that it was as tight as possible. I feel you. And somebody else wrote it. Yeah, you don't have to. But no, it was actually five of us that got together and created the story. Okay. So it's an in-house, you know, you wrote it in-house, basically. In-house, yes. In-house. Okay. So it was five of us that contributed to the story, basically. Two individuals got credit for writing it because they actually did the pen work, and the rest of us came in and contributed. Right. We were saying, hey, you know what? We don't want I don't want credit for writing because I contribute to the story, and that's okay. Ideas come from everywhere, you know. Right. And my thing is the reward is that it's already won several awards. Yeah. And, you know, in doing that, you know, I know that when we get this project done, it's going to be a project that's going to be successful. Right. And what can you tell us anything about the film, or it's okay if you don't want to disclose anything? Well, the film, if anybody wanted to read about the film, they can just go to erasedmovie.com. Okay. And then so actually what I'll do is I'll just switch that to there goes right here. I love it. That's, hey, it's a nice graphic too. You got a nice graphic designer working on that. Did you do that? Say that again. Did you do that graphic, or who did it? I didn't design it. And what we did is we told the designer what we wanted. Yeah. And we worked with her into getting this right here. This was looks awesome. I love it. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. What is that in the background? I mean, besides the helicopter. That's it's supposed to be a prison, but it looks like it looks like a castle, but it's supposed to be a prison. Awesome. You know, because it's a story about these four young women that basically get entrapped by the U.S. They're not really entrapped because they are on the bad side of the law. Mm-hmm. And what they do, it's because what we want to do is, I mean, I have three sisters. Okay. I have, you know, three nieces, three sisters, three nieces. So, you know, we're like, hey, you know what? Why don't we tell a story that's going to be compelling and also uplift females? Because we're saying, the thing is, I want when my niece looks at a movie or watch a movie, I want her to be inspired. So, there you go. So we have, you know, and we have, it's funny because a lot of people that I talk to, well, guys specifically, they're like, well, they don't think of a female as a badass kicking at, you know what I'm saying, fighting and
Right.
doing all that stuff. Even though it, you know, I've seen plenty of shows like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, having one of the females, she's like that.
Yeah.
And then another one is like, she's like almost like a psychologist, and she can get into your head and manipulate you to do things. So, which is great. And so basically they get kidnapped by the US government.
Mm-hmm.
They are forced to actually, it's called erase because they take their identity and take everything away from them. So they have no identity. And then they're forced to actually perform or work for the government in order to get their life back. And wow. in doing that, they go in and they go in and infiltrate a terrorist cell basically. And when they do that, they start to discover what's behind all of that. And I mean, I don't want to tell you everything about the
Sure.
because then I don't want to
Great. So how can I mean, while we're talking about it, let's say if somebody wants to contribute in some way, shape, or form, they can go to the website you said, and maybe they can find your contact information on there if they want to partake in it.
I believe on the website, my our contact information is on there, so they can go in and they can just put in whatever they you know, send us a quick email or something, like a quick note. Yeah. And then from there, you know, we'll get back to them depending on what it is that they want to
or if they have future scripts they might want to submit, they could contact you through
yes, if they have future script that they want to submit, they definitely can contact us through that, or they can go to lopesbrothers.com.
Yeah, there you go.
If they go to lopesbrothers.com, they can literally send us an email through there and go from there.
Okay, and then you had something, did we complete that range of it? Because I want to talk to you about Convicted as well. And then get into some of your other stuff. With Convicted, it came out in 2017, 2018, somewhere in that time frame. And tell us about your role in that and the process that you went through with it.
So it's funny because I tell this story, and now when I tell the story, I'm like, well, you know, I don't know what I was thinking, but I actually do know what I was thinking. Because the thing is I'm around a lot of actors, and my thing is always, I believe in, there's a quote, I'm forgetting the guy that says it now, but it's a quote. It's like, if you want something in life, help as many people to get what they want.
There you go. Yeah.
And then
you can have anything you want.
And I mean, I'm paraphrasing the quote.
I think that's a Zig Ziglar quote.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And when I heard that quote, I was like, oh, wow, it's kind of what I do. It's kind of who I am. It's like, you know, I'm always, you know, if I can add value and help you out, I'll do that. And so I'm around a lot of actors in New York, and you know, I'm always helping actors out. And so in doing that, I've built relationships with a ton of actors. And so people would reach out to me, and this is kind of how I started getting in the production side of it. People would reach out to me and say, hey, you know, I'm looking for this actor. Can you recommend? So I would recommend the actors, like, yes, send me the sides, send me the breakdown. And then what I'll do is I'll send it to the actors that I know. And, you know, they'll reach out to you, the ones that I feel that could fit the role. So I ended up, there was a play that was happening in New York. I forget the date it was happening, but the producer reached out to me. I'm not sure exactly how she got my information, but she reached out to me and said, hey, I have a play that I'm casting, and I need to cast a Spanish female in this role. Can you recommend someone? I was like, sure. And I recommended about 6 different actresses, and she chose one.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know, they did an audition, and she got one. And so the female, she contacted me, the actress, she contacted me, like, oh my God, I got the play. I love it. I love the story and everything we've been rehearsing. Can you come watch the show? I was like, sure, I'll come down. Nice. So I came down and watched the show. I met the producer, and which was like, okay, cool, you know, because I hadn't met her before. So we met her in person. And after that, she contacted me after the show. She said, hey, I'm going to talk to you about something. I'll call you. Okay. I was like, all right, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. Then she called me and said, hey, I'm casting this film. You know, at the time it was called Yellow Moon. She's like, I'm casting this film, Yellow Moon. The director's a really nice guy. He's really great. He's also the writer. He's a great writer. You might want to read the script if you want, you know, if you'd like. But I'm casting it. Can you send me actors? And this is what I said. Send me the breakdown, what you need, and I'll send it. So I sent it out to everyone. They sent me their stuff, and I sent her all of their headshots and reels and everything. And so after she was looking through that, she called me back and said, hey, I noticed that your stuff is not in here. And she's like, you're an actor too, right? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. And she's like, but your stuff is not in here. I was like, you didn't ask me for mine. You asked me to recommend actors to you, so that's what I did.
Right,
said,
right.
well, she said, well, why don't you submit your stuff as well? You know, I'll submit it to the director and see what he thinks.
Right.
She submitted to the director, and then she called me back and said, hey, the director would like for you to audition. She sent me the sides, and part of the reason why I didn't submit was because the character, my character, Alley Boy, he's a sociopath, basically. He's killing people, and he's he's selling drugs, and you know, it's just not the thing that I represent. And you're saying, I'm tired of seeing, you know, people of color being represented as a drug dealer, as a killer, and all that stuff.
Right.
I don't want to perpetuate this stereotype.
I'm with you.
And so, but I was like, you know what? She's a producer. I was told, hey, you know, she's a great producer. She produces 3 films per year. So, you know, you might want to keep a relationship with her. I was like, well, definitely. And then so she contacted me, said, hey, the director saw your picture. He said, once he saw you, he said, that's Alley Boy right there. That's Alley Boy. I'm like, okay. Right. And so I was like, he's like, he wants you to audition. Can you come audition? I was like, all right, great. I'll do the audition. And the only reason I said yes was because, like I said, I wanted the relationship. I wanted to build a relationship. Sure. Hey, you know what? And then I went and spoke to my my coach at the time, Susan Batson's son's Carl. And I said, Carl, I got a dilemma. He said, what's the dilemma? I was like, I have an audition that I don't want to do it. He's like, then why are you doing it? And I told him why I was doing it. He said, well, then go to the audition and fuck it up. I'm like, what? He said, just go to the audition and just fuck it up. I was like, no, I can't do that. That's not my character. If I'm going to go audition, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to go bomb. Right. Like, your personal character. Right. Exactly. I was like, if I go there and bomb, what's going to happen? He's probably going to say, hey, you know what? She's gonna say, the director's probably going, well, he sucked. I mean, why did we bring him in? Yeah. And she might say, hey, you know what? I don't want to have a relationship with him. You know, he just made me look bad. Right. So I said, okay. And which was great though for me to be in that space, because for me as an actor, I was in a truthful space. So when I did go audition, because I had the script for like 3 days, when I was getting ready to go audition, I was still in that space like, I don't want to do this. And so I get there. I get out the elevator, and as soon as I get out the elevator, she sees me. She's like, hey, George, come here. We've been waiting for you. And I'm like, and everybody else is sitting there looking at me like, okay, how does he just come in and go right in? And I'm like, I need time to go. You got the fast pass, the Disney fast pass. I was like, I need time to just like, kind of just, you know, get myself together. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna do that. And but the audition was about 10 blocks from where I was at. So I walked the 10 blocks, and as I was walking 10 blocks, I was in my head, I don't want this. I don't want to do this. Fuck this. And I was just saying all of it. So when I walked in, it was a interesting energy. You were kind of in character a little bit. Exactly. So and that's exactly what they said, because when I walked in, you know, the director was like, hey, she's like, introduced me, like, say, hey, well, what's up? And I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know, and then he's like, you ready for this? I'm like, yeah, whatever, let's go. And then so he was like, okay, but they didn't say nothing to me at that time. We did the scene. After we did the scene, he's like, well, you had that for 3 days, so how about here's another scene? I'm gonna give you a minute, and you can take a look at it, and then get back, and then we can do it. I said, okay, great. He gave it to me. I looked at it, and within maybe it felt like 30 seconds. I don't know exactly how long it was, but it felt like 30 seconds. Like, you ready to do this? I'm like, yeah, whatever. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. You about to set me up. And he said, yeah, but your character don't know that yet. I'm like, yeah, I know that. Okay. So he's like, all right, let's do the scene. We did the scene, and I walked out of there. I was like, okay, boom. The next day she called me up and said, hey, we want to offer you the role. And the thing is that we wanted a great actor, I'm saying a good actor, to do this role. And you came in, you're the only one that came in character. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so I walked in as a sociopath, I'm saying, but that said, it was like, I was like, okay. Now, were you surprised by that or not? Like, were you thinking? I was surprised by that. Yeah, I was surprised by that, because I wasn't getting into character. I wasn't doing anything character. I was in a truthful place of saying, hey, I don't want this, you know? Yeah. And it's like, whatever. So,
but did it occur to you on some level that that was your character? I mean, on some level, were you sort of in character, or were you just actually, you really didn't want the part at that point, and that was just what was being conveyed?
I truly didn't want the part of that at that point.
So it's like, it's actual serendipity based, almost, you know?
Yeah. I didn't want the part because of the fact, like I said, because of the stereotype, because of everything that I put onto it. And then the only reason, because after they offered me the role, I went back to Carl and said, Carl, guess what? He said, what? I said, you know that role that I didn't want, that you said for me to go and bomb? He said, yeah. He said, I was like, they offered me the role. Now what? He's like, do the fucking movie. And I'm like, I don't want to do the movie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because of what it's and I hadn't read the script, so I only had the sides. So, and I'm like, and then so he's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna tell you this: work begets work. So if you do this, you're gonna get other work because you're gonna be in the work. So you can do that. He's like, and if you don't want to do that, this is what made me do it. He said, you grew up in the streets of Boston. You know kids like that.
Yeah.
You know people that went through that lifestyle that's, you know, in jail, doing life, dead.
Yeah.
Tell their story.
Yeah.
Bring humanity to their story.
There you go.
And I was like, wow.
I like that.
Yeah. That, for me too, I was like, then I was like, shit, now I got to do the story.
Yeah, there you go. So it all worked out. And so I got a couple questions. How long was the production? How many shoot days did you do? Do you remember?
It took us,
when was it? Like 2015 or 2016, I'm guessing?
I think it was about 2016, I believe.
Ish, yeah.
Ish, because what happened is it took us about 3 months to shoot. But prior to that, I had the script for like 7 months working on the character, making sure that, you know, walking through the streets of New York, you know, in character and having people want, you know, which is, I was like, okay, you know what, I gotta, because I'm a method actor. So I'm walking through the streets of New York. I'm not trying to start nothing, but I'm walking through Brooklyn and, you know, guys trying to fight me. And I'm like thinking, because I'm in my head with my headphones and I just got out of the gym and I'm thinking, you know, I'm just thinking character thoughts, but that energy, I guess, resonates. And, you know, I got 3 guys trying to fight me. And I'm like,
wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, you know, just looking at them, but luckily they, you know, they didn't jump me, they didn't do anything. Yeah. But it got me to say, hey, you know what? When I'm walking through the streets of New York or whatever, when I'm in a train, I gotta not be, you know, thinking character thoughts.
Wow.
Because that resonates. And you know, because I remember I was actually in character, and I'm, you know, because I had my headphones, I had the music on, but I'm thinking character thoughts, and I just noticed this guy sitting across from me, looking at me in a train. And he's looking at me, and my character, you know, like I said, it's a sociopath. So I'm like, so he's looking at me. So I'm looking at the guy, and I'm like, you know, why is he staring at me? And you know, and he just gets up and walks out, and you know, walks into the other train, and I'm like, oh, whoa. And then again, I had to pull myself back. I'm like, you know, I gotta stop this, especially when you're out in, you know, in the studio. It's great. I'm saying, you know,
because you scared that guy out of the train car. Sounds like.
He got out of the train car and went to the next one. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And I really wasn't thinking nothing about him. My thoughts was like, you know, I'm in character and I'm thinking thoughts. And then I look and I notice that he was engaged, looking at me.
You got that look, you know.
So, you know,
not you, but at that time you had the look probably. You had
exactly.
That.
So and that was it. I looked at him for a couple of seconds, and he just kind of like, whoa, you know, he just got up and went to the
he's like,
I
can't the next car.
That's
awesome.
The thing is that once I did that, you know, spent the 7 months with the script, and then we shot for about 3 months because we were shooting, and then something happened on the production that we had to stop production for a little bit, wait, and then start back up. And it was great. I mean, we shot for the 3 months. And after we did that, it took them, I don't know, I think about another 8 months or something like that to get the color correction and everything done. And then, you know, we went to a couple of film festivals, and then it was actually supposed to go to Netflix. They were talking to Netflix, a deal with Netflix. Yeah. And the director decided that he wanted to do Amazon, so he went with Amazon.
Okay, cool. That's what we did as well. And Netflix is tricky, and they own the, you know, exclusivity about it, you know, worldwide. So with the other streaming platforms. You can have a lot more flexibility to go to a lot of different streaming platforms. So it was about a 3-year script to screen it sounds like for Convicted. Would you think?
It was actually about 2 years or so.
Yeah, a little less.
From script to
Distribution.
Amazon. And what happened with Amazon, which a lot of people don't know about this, a lot of filmmakers don't know this, like when you go on Amazon, because some people, there's 2 ways to go on Amazon. There's one there's a way that you're going in as a company, and then there's a way that you go in as an independent filmmaker. And as an independent filmmaker, you get raped. I mean, when we first got on Amazon, we were getting 5 cents per IP.
It's really low. Yeah.
So you watch it once and that's it. You can watch it 20 more times. We just get that first 5 cents.
Yeah.
And they get, and they were renting it out for $2.99 and they get, whatever.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They used to pay a lot better, but they changed that a couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know when it changed, but I know when we got the deal, that's what we ended up getting. And then so recently, I want to say almost 9 months ago or something like that, through my company, we decided that we had a conversation with the director and said, hey, you know what? We want to re-release the film and let us take care of that deal, and we can make it happen. Yeah. And, because we were looking at, my thing is that I look at it this way: as a filmmaker, as an entrepreneur, as an actor, as a storyteller, what I want to do is I want to be able to start the film, go from development all the way to monetization. Right. So in order to understand all of that, I said, okay, you know what? We're going to go ahead and take something. I mean, I already understand how to, write a script. I understand how to act and tell a story. There's always room for improving with all of that. And I said, hey, where most filmmakers stop is they do a film, they have a film, and after they have the film, they never think about post-production. I mean, they think about post-production, but they don't think about the aftermath of that, getting your film to the theaters and getting it where you see, you need money for that as well. They say, hey, you got a budget. That's true. No, you need marketing money. Yeah. Exactly. They burn everything. And then there's this point, and they're saying, hey, I can't do anything. And they can't get anything done. Right. And so what we said to ourselves, that's a problem that we want to solve. And with Lopes we want to solve. It's with any business, as an entrepreneur, look at it. What problems can I solve in the world? Right. If I can solve enough problems for people, then money's gonna come. Right. And so we looked at it. We're gonna go ahead and take care of the distribution for Convicted, and that's what we did. We took care of the distribution for Convicted, and we now have it at a worldwide distribution, basically. So awesome. And on several platforms, which includes Amazon. It's on Roku. It's on Vudu. It's on what is it? It's on Tubi. It's on it's on several different platforms. Right. Which is what you want to do. As a filmmaker, you're saying you want to. Thing is, for me, is like we're now that's part of something that we're doing for independent filmmakers. You have a project, and if it's a compelling story, if it resonates and it aligns with who we are as a company, then we're willing to take your project and get you distribution. Nice. Yeah, there you go. So your company is a distributor as well, so people can contact you and submit. And tell me about your acting background. And you mentioned working with a coach. I think it's fascinating for actors to like you had a script for 7 months in preparation for a feature film. Also, I know I'm putting in several questions here. How many pages of script did you have in Convicted? Do you remember roughly was it 10 or 20? Yeah, I think it was about 120, 130 pages. Oh, I mean for your part. For me, I was in almost every scene. So yeah. I don't remember how many. So you were probably on almost every page at some point. Yeah, more or exactly. Less. Yeah. I was in almost every scene. I think there's only one scene that I'm not in. 1 or 2 scenes that I'm not in. But yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, I was in. Remember, if I was to guesstimate it, would be about 80 pages. Yeah. 80 or 90 pages, so roughly that. And it's not, I mean, for people that are actually trying to start off being actors with it, it's not about memorizing the script, because I did not memorize the script.
Yeah.
Even on set, I was over, what am I supposed to be saying over here?
Right.
And, but
Yeah.
I really wasn't looking at the script like that. It was more, I was looking at the circumstance.
That's it.
Right. So because the words tend to come if you're in character.
Yeah.
If you're
With
in
our film, we always had things changed with the script, with the locations that were available. And so our film, we always had, we had the scene once we got there, and I understood what needed to happen to get the scene from, A to B, and that's kind of what you're saying as far as like understanding, the point of the script and not necessarily the words specifically.
Exactly. It's just knowing what's happening in that scene and what's supposed to happen. Then and that's the beauty of as an actor, from an actor's perspective. I mean, that's the beauty of telling the story. I feel like at any time that I love what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is, what I've done in
Yeah.
that scene is when I'm able to surprise myself.
Right.
I mean, I don't watch my movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I got a couple of movies that I'm in. I don't watch them.
Right,
the reason why I don't watch them is because I don't like watching myself on film, and not because I don't, any vanity or anything like that. It's just because, like, for example, I watched Convicted, the first time. Well, it had 2 premieres, and the first premiere that it had, I watched it because, I wanted to see how it goes. But every scene, I felt like, okay, I already know where the scene is going. So it doesn't give me that room for surprise, because I know every aspect. So it becomes boring to me.
Right.
It doesn't fulfill that need that I have when I'm watching a movie or a show, which you don't know what's going to happen and you're just kind of following the story. I already know the story, so it's like, okay, you know what, I know the story.
Right.
What I tend to do is beat myself up and say, okay, you know what? Well, I could have done that.
Sure.
I know.
I do that all through our film. There's always a lot, but you know what? With our movie, I looked at it as an average. If a joke didn't hit, or some element didn't take place exactly, the thing is that the actors, we had a lot of comedians in our film, is they would bring something extra. So overall, the average of the scene would always be higher than what the initial expectations were. What is your what is your training like as an actor? Like what have you done? I know you started at 14, 15. You've probably been in it your whole life. And then what kind of training have you been through, and do you do on an ongoing basis?
I've wanted to be in acting and in the film industry since I was 14, 15. I looked like, when I went to college, I tried to take acting classes in college. It wasn't, I didn't want to tell Biff's story. I forget the salesman's, I don't know, for some reason everyone has to do that. I think it's called Salesman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I didn't want to tell that story. It's about 2 brothers and all that stuff. I'm like, but the thing is, I didn't meet a coach or acting teacher that actually pulled out of me or pushed me like Susan Batson. She has this always in the art, SBS over here.
Yeah.
Susan Batson Studio. Basically, what she did, and she coaches, Tom Cruise.
Wow.
She's coached Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Forrest Whitaker, Denzel Washington.
Wow. She's got the magic, huh?
She's everyone, Jamie Foxx, everyone that's actually won an award, that so you can think of one of has won not everyone that's won an Oscar, but a majority of people that's won an Oscar, they go to her. Like Forrest Whitaker, he won the Oscar after he went to her.
Wow.
Jamie Foxx won an Oscar after he went to her. So it's that type of deal that her method is amazing, and I'm lucky to have found her, because what happened is I met Tasha Smith, and she's in all of Tyler Perry's movies, and Tasha Smith had me come to one of her classes that she was teaching, and I went to her classes where she does.
What's the magic? What's the secret formula?
Truth.
Yeah.
That's it. Really, at the end of the day, everything that you learn is technique, but if you're, like I just told you, me being my truth, walking in to that audition, I was just simply in my truth.
Right.
And, it resonated.
Yeah.
And
Being, is it being in truth as yourself, or as the character, or a combination of the two?
it's being truthful in imaginary circumstances,
Right.
basically. And it's being truthful with who you are, and being able, because most human beings, and and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but most human beings, what they do is they're not truthful with themselves, and they're not truthful with the people around them. There's always a part of them that they refuse to share.
Yeah.
As an actor, you have to open that part up and share it.
Right.
And it took me maybe, I want to say 6 months of being at Susan Bass Studio before I could actually open up and do that. You know,
And what was that like, that 6 months? What was
it was horrendous.
why? It's exploring yourself. Is that why?
Yeah, it's exploring yourself, but it's being honest with yourself, and it's literally going into yourself, and finding all the ugly and the beauty and the ugly, and embracing all of that.
Right.
And not everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, people might say, "Yeah, I can do that," until you have to do it, and you go
Right.
do it. It's like boom. And then what I love about her studio was the fact that I had actors who I'm friends with till this day, because they're there, and they serve as a sounding board to let you know if you're being truthful or not.
Right.
Because once you open up, then you could feel someone else, and you can feel what they're telling you.
Then you get that energy on screen, right?
Yeah, and you capture it. But as an actor, you can capture it right away as soon as someone speak, because you're coming from the heart.
Yeah.
It's going from the head to the heart, and sharing your heart with the world.
And you got to be able to play off that energy. If your other counterpart is expressing that truth, then it's going to improve the scene for both of you, right?
Yes, it's definitely gonna improve it. From my experience, it helps out, because if you're being truthful and I'm being truthful, we're gonna go so deep.
Yeah.
That it's gonna resonate throughout. In the theater, wherever you're at, whether it's
right.
It resonates. The challenge is that when you're acting, the other actor's not always there.
Right.
Because if the camera's dead on you, sometimes that actor's not there. You're lucky if that actor gets to stand there and gives you.
Yeah.
Because if they're not there to give you,
it can be somebody else there.
Exactly. Or they can have just like a sticker over it, like
Right.
I mean, and this. You're a filmmaker. You know this. So it's like, you as an actor need to always learn how to be truthful, whether that person is truthful or not. You're truthful. And because if you do that, and that's one of the things that I love about Susan Bass Studio, selfish plug for the studio. But the thing is that what I learned there is that because we get to do a one-man show. I did a one-man show on Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And telling Denzel Washington a slice of his life.
Wow.
And in doing that, because while I was there, Susan, she always has things like, you as an actor, you have this energy. She'll give you like 3 different characters that she wants you to choose from and play. But when I start, and you got to research, because as an actor, you have to research everything. So go research the 3 different people that she gave me. And she gave me Sam Cooke. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to sing. I might sound like William Hung. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. And so then I was like, you know what? It didn't resonate with me. He died at, I think he was like 26 when he died. He died at a hotel, and a mysterious death and everything like that. So it didn't resonate with me. And then she gave me Toussaint, which was he was a Haitian general. And I was like, it was a interesting character. And I was like, wow. I mean, and I loved it. And my challenge with that, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can have that Creole accent in time to get the show up. Yeah. And then Denzel, I connected with Denzel because he's a middle child. I'm a middle child. Parents religious. Father was a preacher. And I'm a middle child too. Sorry, go ahead. Don't get the worst. But so with that said, I was like, wow, Denzel speaks to me. He grew up on the streets in New York. Yeah. And he wasn't always like, the Denzel that we see today that, saying, oh, Mr. Can't Do Wrong. Right. He was doing stuff in the streets, and he was lucky that he had his mother to yank him by his coat and put him in a boarding school. But by doing that, he was able to, go through that and transform into who he is today. I mean, that contributed to it, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the parents contributed to it also. I mean, his father was a preacher. his parents broke up, I think when he was like 14 years old. And so with all of that, I'm like, it resonated, everything resonated with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I connect with this character. And in doing that, you get to learn how to actually take a character and build that character, not only from the physiology of the character, the mindset of the character, and going in depth into that character. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience to go through.
Yeah.
And it was, I think when I first started at the studio, we would go, we would go every night, every day. It was 7 days a week, and we would go until about 4 a.m. every day.
Was it a set course, or was it like pay weekly? How did she do it?
Well, I did monthly.
You did a month, so you can just, you go, and where is she located?
She's located in New York. She's located, she's located on 43rd, between 8th and 9th.
So you can do like monthly intensive acting programs, basically.
Yes. I mean, you can come in, it was $900 a month, and you go in, and what I loved about it, a lot of people's like, oh, it's $900 a month, and I'm like, yeah, but it's $3 an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
it's reasonable. Yeah. And it's in New York.
$3 an hour because of the simple fact that the amount of hours that you're there, that you're allowed to be there. You pay the $900, you can go there from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
And so it was like, if you're doing that,
those kind of investments are so valuable to learn from the experts in your field. Plus you get to network. You're probably still, networking. You formed relationships with people that you're still in touch with from the school. So I think those kind of things are really valuable. People will always tell you that you're wasting your money. You can learn it on YouTube, but you can't. You got to go do stuff sometimes. You got to pay for it. You got to invest.
I'll give you this. You definitely got to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
If you don't invest in yourself, I mean, I've experienced that. I've learned that. Invest in yourself, and it's gonna pay you 1,000% more. I mean, when I left Massachusetts to go to New York, what I did is I looked at everything and I calculated, I saved up for I think a couple of years, and then I was like, you know what, I having a certain amount of money to make sure that I had at least a year. I can go in and just study for a whole year. Didn't have to do anything else but study for a whole year.
Right.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I
good plan.
Do. Because you got to look at it, $900 a month. I'm saying, it comes out to roughly about 10,000. I'm saying for the year. It's not it's not. That's just for the class.
Sure.
You got to pay for everything else. But it's not something that you're gonna say, hey, you know what? It's gonna be extremely expensive.
Right.
Some people might look at that and say, hey, that's expensive.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I said, no, it's not, because when I break it down to the amount of hours, like I said, that's how I know it's $3 an hour, because I did it. Because I was there. I'd say, hey, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm there. And I would stay from 9 o'clock to 3 a.m.
And you get out of it what you put into it, so it's not just a $3 an hour you're getting out of it. You can get out of it $50 an hour, $100 an hour, as an investment return, to you. So exactly. What would you tell young aspiring actors about investing in themselves? What else could you contribute to somebody that's, looking to be more involved?
Well, I have a young lady right now that wants me to mentor her. She, basically she's in New York also, but she has some challenges, health challenges, and she can't really go out because, COVID, and she would be in that category where if she got it, it could be detrimental to her. And so, we do it through online, through Zoom, not through Instagram, I'm sorry. And I just do it just to contribute and give back. It's not, I don't charge her anything for it. It was whatever. She just reached out and she's really passionate about it. I said, hey, you know what? When I came to New York and Susan saw my passion, she was saying, hey, you know what? Boom, here. Anytime, she was like throwing me into things. I mean, she had me watch the first 2 episodes of the show Empire.
Okay.
Before the Empire, actually debuted, and she's like, "What do you think about this?" I was like, "Yo, it's gonna be a hit." After I watched the first episode, I was like, "This is gonna be a hit." She's like, "Why you say that?" And I told her why I thought it was gonna be a hit. And so, lo and behold, it became a hit. But then after I watched it for like I think the first 2 seasons. But then after that, I dropped off because they kind of changed the formula around.
Right.
But she had me do that, and then she had me work with one of the actresses that's gonna be on the show. I mean, I don't want to say her name because I'm saying that I don't want to put anybody out there, because some people don't like to say, hey, they trained But anyway, so I worked with this actress. She's not originally not an actress. I mean, she comes from a different aspect.
Okay.
But, you know, and it was great to get thrown into this situation, you know, because she sees the hunger. She's like, okay, here, go act with somebody that's gonna, you know, whip you, beat you up, and really gonna bring it to you.
Yeah.
Acting. And it was a great experience. And she's done that plenty of times with me. With you know, I've worked with people that's already in the industry that's you know, that's got a name that everybody, if I mention the name, you know who they are. And I'm in there, or they're probably doing an audition, and I'm working with them as far as like acting with them and reading with them and just going hard. And after, they're like, wow, thank you. Because for me, I don't know how to read just looking and reading. I know how to read of really bringing the character to life.
Yeah.
For you, if I'm working with you, I'm giving you that energy. Because if I give you that energy, I'm giving you a gift.
Right.
As an actor. Because not a lot of actors will do that for
right.
you. But
no, that's true. That,
it's a gift, because then it allows you, like we just said, if we're both going at it in our truth, and we're in depth, then all of a sudden, you know, it becomes magic.
And you are passionate, you're easy to work with. And it's one of the reasons, obviously, that's, you know, ingrained in who you are. Cause that's why you're here now. Is I've just started doing these interviews. You're really my second one. The first one was more of a practice, a demo, and you are so easy to the back and forth on LinkedIn, and you are just willing to accommodate, you know, any changes in schedules or whatever. And here you are, you know, you're just on it, you're ready to go. And, you know, I appreciate that. And tell me about, well, first of all, I think you probably had more to contribute to. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about what you tell young people, you know,
what I really tell young people, what I like to tell young people is you want to be able to do two things. One, and I just told this actress this today, actually, I was talking to her because she's doing these scenes and she's sending it to me, and I'm saying, and I'm telling her I'm like, yeah, it's good. And you could add X, Y, Z to it. And she takes it, oh, you know what? Oh, so I suck. I'm not going to share this. And I'm like, no, I'm not saying that it suck. I'm saying that it's an improvement. And if you add these little bits of ingredients to it, it's going to be even better. And so one of the things is one, it's not to beat yourself up, because I spent years beating myself up. I'd go to the studio, spend all day in the studio, then I would leave at night, sometime midnight, 1 a.m. I'm on the train. There's not a lot of people on the train, and I'm beating myself up in that train because I'm like, I just spent the whole day and I sucked.
Yeah.
You know, and
you don't think that's helpful, is what you're saying?
No. Oh, that's
Listen, I do stand up. I've been a stand-up comedian. I haven't done it recently, but I hosted for years. And listen, we beat ourselves up constantly, you know. So that's why I'm like, it's sort of I think we all go through that process, you know. But
it's a double-edged sword, though. Yeah. When you're an actor, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Because for me, I needed that. You know, when I look back and saying, I did an audition. Was one night we have this thing. It's like a night that it's an audition night at Susan. And one of the teachers that used to come there, he's in a lot of TV shows. He looked at me, and I didn't know him from Adam. And he tells me that was dog shit. And I was like, I didn't know what he meant by dog shit, but I felt like he got insulted. I mean, I'm like, did he just insult me? But he insulted me, and I'm not sure, you know, how to take this.
Yeah.
But it's not done to put you down or anything like that. It's done to actually break you down, as far as take that shield that you have that's covering the truth, and breaking that. Because once that breaks, then magic happens. Yeah. And a lot of people, you know, I've seen a lot of people, you know, get upset and like, oh, and I'm like, nah. And my thing was, one is never quit. 2, don't beat yourself up. 3, be willing and open to be a sponge and just take everything in. And everything that happens is happening for you. You know, because what happens in this is, like I said, you get, I mean, for like, I think the first 2 years, every day, you know, I mean, every day I was beating myself up until it took, like I said, like about 3 to 6 months for me to kind of open up. But after I got that glimpse of open up, I was like, oh, whoa, this is what this means. This is what it means to drop. Okay. Right. And it was like, wow, this is amazing. And I found my emotional depth. Well, I found the beginning. I had a crack into my emotional depth, and then I started going deeper. And to this day, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the studio. I'm grateful for the fact that, you know, as an actor, because as men, and you know, as men, we're trained to like kind of hide our feelings.
Right.
So it's challenging for you to go in and say, okay, now I have to show my feelings. And when I've been told my whole life, I'm supposed to.
Right. Right.
So it's a blessing to at least. I mean, I would tell any guy to go actually take a couple of acting classes just so you can get into.
Oh, it helps in all aspects. I would say in all
Definitely.
aspects of life. What how many for new actors, and when I say young, we should clarify that that's young actors, because you can join and participate at any age in life, like absolutely. And then how many auditions would you say people have to go on to land a part? Like, what's an average for actors? And can you quantify that? Just curious.
I don't think you can quantify it. What I would say is go to as many auditions as you can. You want to do 4 or 5 auditions a week. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing that, what happens is, this is what happens. I think this really what happens with actors, and I've seen it happen with a lot of actors. And like I said, I have a lot of actor friends, is I have an actress friend who's on several TV shows right now. And every time she gets an audition, she freaks out. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? What's really good? She calls me up, she's freaking out. She called me up one day on set freaking out. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you freaking out?
Yeah.
You're psyching yourself up, because the thing is, what happens is, as actors, we get into this thing where we want to make it look good. We want it to be good. We want that validation, and we start beating ourselves up.
So, you want it so bad, you hamstring yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you go, and I'll add to that, the only time that I've been cast in a project, believe it or not, is when I didn't want the project or I didn't care about the project. Yeah. When I really put, I care about it. I need this is the right role, whatever. Right. Didn't get it.
Then you got all the extra going into it.
Because you're adding to it. And it's like, you want to add to it. Just be truthful.
Yeah.
So with that said, is I see actors doing that all the time. So if you're having 4 to 5, 6 auditions a day, and then all of a sudden it becomes a job. It becomes a blue collar job.
Yeah, you get used to it. You get accustomed to it.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you want to do is get to the point where you desensitize yourself from the fact that, hey, I want this, but take it as an opportunity. And I think this Al Pacino that said this, like every time that he walked in the room to do an audition, he felt it was his opportunity to act, to tell a story. Because I mean, if you love acting, just do it. Right. It doesn't matter what the audience is, one audience or 20, 100, it doesn't matter. If you're doing it for significance, then I will tell you this, it's not really gonna, you're not really gonna go anywhere. Right. And what I mean by that is the fact that some people want to do it because they want to get seen on TV, they want to be in the movie. Right. And it's like, no, that's the wrong.
You have to be in it for the craft, for the art of it. Yeah. How would you say that?
I'm in it to be able to tell stories. I'm in it to inspire people. Yeah. Because for me, if that's my why, is to inspire. Right. So if I can tell a story, I mean, I remember I did a scene, and I'll tell you about Convicted actually before that. Convicted, like I said, I didn't want to tell the story. After the story was done and after the movie premiered, I had this woman come to me. I was getting ready to leave because what happened is, as a child, I was claustrophobic. Mm-hmm. So I go to the theater. Nobody knows me. So I'm okay, cool. I go with a couple of actor friends of mine. So nobody that's in the theater, the theater's packed. And no one there saying anything to me like they know me. So I'm like, cool, whatever. So I sit, and watch the movie. Throughout the whole time I had my head down because I'm seeing scenes and I'm like, I could have done better. I got my friends and actors over here and I'm looking at her to see what her reaction is. I'm not watching the movie. Period. Yeah. But anyway, so after the movie's done, they call me to the stage. I go to the stage with the other actors and everything like that. And then the director said a couple of words and so on. And we said a couple of words. But as soon as I got off the stage, then it's all of a sudden people want to take pictures. Can we take a picture? And I'm like, oh. And because I was claustrophobic as a kid, I had kind of like a mini panic attack. And I had to literally keep telling myself, hold up. The reason why they're doing this is because they love the movie. Just chill. Right. Right. Because I'm freaking out inside, but outside I'm looking calm. Right. And I see my friends and they walking out and they're like, and I'm like, because I'm trying to I told them, I'm like, yo, if anything, I'm saying, rescue me if you see me look at you. And they didn't do that. They was like, oh, we thought it was, it was your moment. I'm like, no, I don't do it for that. That part I don't really like. Right. What I do is to, like I said, inspire. And what happened is I had this guy, this group come at me. I took a picture with a couple of group folks. I had some woman come in, called me by my name and say, "Hey, I want to introduce you to so-and-so." I'm like, "I don't even know you,
Right.
just remember my name." And then but I didn't say that to her. I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool. Nice to meet you." Whatever, shake your hand and kept it moving. Then I had this other group of people come up to me and they wanted to ask me stuff about the character. I was like, "You know what? The director knows more. He's the one that wrote it. He's over there. Go ask him. He'll be able to tell you." Because I couldn't tell you what he was thinking. And then, so try to beeline out the door. And right when I get ready to get out the door, this woman comes and grabs me. And she said, "Hey, I want to ask you a question." And she's like telling me about one of the scenes. I don't want to give it away because I'm saying, I'd say go watch the movie. It's on Tubi. You know what I'm saying? You can watch it for free.
Yeah.
But there's a scene where my character has, kind of breaks down. And in that moment, she said she got everything. She understood this guy's life.
Right.
Why he's killing people, why he's selling drugs and all this stuff. And I'm like, she had my mouth dropped because I didn't expect that, because I'm thinking what it is. But I did said, "Hey, if I'm going to tell the story, I'm going to tell it truthful and tell it from, a perspective where, why would this guy be the way that he is?
Right.
What would take
a
young man to go in and start killing people?"
Right.
So in doing that, when she said that to me, I was like, wow, I actually accomplished what, I was challenged to do.
Right.
Which was,
what a great moment.
Yeah, it was like, bring humanity to this character.
Right.
And at that moment, I got that I did the job, which was bring humanity. And now on is she understands how someone can go there.
Right.
And that was
That's
beautiful.
awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. A couple closing questions here. So first of all, I know that you mentioned that you do some coaching yourself. So tell us about that process and how somebody might be able to find you if they're interested in working with you, how you do it, if it's over Zoom, if they need to be in New York or Boston, or where do they need to be for?
Well, what I've done coaching in the past. I mean, nowadays I don't take as much coaching clients, and the reason why is because of the fact that I don't have the time.
Right.
And I'm trained through Tony Robbins' company. Basically, I've been in the Tony environment since I was in college, and I've gone through the ranks. I'm a trainer for Tony Robbins, and whenever he has his events, I go there and help to facilitate the event. As a trainer,
right?
And I've had personal clients that I coach, and I've been coaching actors on the business of acting, because a lot of actors just want to act and they're not looking at, with the business aspect of it. So I've done that in the past as well. So right now, I mean, what I like doing, and that I've been coaching people, is like, I take people that, are at a point in their life that when they're ready for change. When I say ready for change, is there's so much pain in there that it makes it easier for them to change.
Right.
They want to change. So if they want to create success in their life, I work with them on that.
Right.
That's what depending on what it is that you want to do.
Right.
I mean, I've coached people, millionaires, and I've coached someone that doesn't have it. Saying, hey, you know what, I don't have enough, but can I do this? I look at it this way: do they have an ordeal? What is the ordeal that I can give them? In order, because if they're able to do that ordeal, whatever that is, then what happens is we have leverage so that we can create change.
Yeah.
And then create the success they want.
Yeah. When you say an ordeal, you mean something that they're going through.
I'm saying something that they're going to be able to do that's going to be hard for them to do, but they do it anyway. For example, I was talking to someone about going, because they were talking to me about, well, how did you do it to become an actor? How did you do this? And I'm like, well, what I did is I invested in myself. And it was $900 a month to invest in yourself.
Right.
I was with Susan for basically 7 years. So $900 a month, and you're doing that. That's an ordeal, because a lot of people are like, hey, I pay $900 and then I got to pay my rent on top of that.
Right.
Pay for my living and everything. It's like, and so I have to spend all these hours there, and then I have to do some type of work to be able to pay for everything.
Right.
It's a lot. It's a sacrifice. And so the ordeal is basically putting something that they feel that they can't do
Right.
Anyway,
I
because
see. I see. I
what
see.
they want is bigger than what they
Right. Right.
have.
Right. Right. Okay, I
Yeah.
can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you don't take a lot of coaching clients at the moment, but selectively you do. I would presume you would be open to that, and they can contact you through your website, which was lopezbrothers.com, right?
Yes, definitely.
And lastly, you work with Tony Robbins, obviously a larger than life, influential character globally. What would you give people as a takeaway from your work with Tony Robbins?
You know, I've been with Tony, I don't know how many years now. I mean, I have to look back and see when I first started with him. But like I said, the thing is, my takeaway from Tony is to take action and believe in yourself.
I love
What I
that.
mean by that is because we as individuals, as human beings, what we do to ourselves is we don't realize the growth that we've had or what
Yeah.
we've done because we're in it. When we're
Right.
in it, we don't see it,
Yeah.
but other people may see it and we don't see it, we don't value it. So that's why I say believe in yourself, because know that you are enough and that what you have is enough to be able to do what you want to do. That's one. And you're going to grow. So action trumps everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would say
I love that so much. Yeah.
The first 3 months,
Yeah.
the first 3 months of COVID, the lockdown,
Yeah.
I wrote a book.
Awesome.
And and the book is basically right now with the publisher and everything like that. And I wrote a book. It's not an acting book. It's a book. Basically, it's a story that happened in Massachusetts at one point back in, like, I think 95, somewhere around there. But it's a story because it's a story of it's a young man who basically gets caught up in a situation where he kills someone.
Yeah.
And he's about 16 years old at the time.
Okay.
And now he goes on the run.
Yeah.
And he spends like the next 12, 15 years on a run, growing up.
Yeah.
From the police.
Right.
He went to where, he went to New York, he got a fake ID so he can create a new identity in New York. He did that and moved across the United States, traveling across the United States and trying to settle down in different locations for about 15 years to not being able to communicate with his family.
Right.
And growing up, and the thing is, it's funny because when I talked to him, he had read every single book that I read, like Tony Robbins' book, and Robert Kiyosaki, Think and Grow Rich. So he told me that when we talked about his story, he told me, "Hey, I got this. I have this," and he knew that I went to school because I went, just like Denzel, I went to school for journalism.
Right.
And so he said, "Hey, I want you to read this story. I got a ghostwriter writing my story. Can you read it and tell me what you think?" And for me, again, I'm always about adding value. So he sent it to me, and it's in Microsoft Word. So I'm reading it and I start changing it around. I mean, he's got the original, so I change it around, and then I gave it some authenticity. And after the first chapter, he read the first chapter. He's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "You should have wrote this book for me."
Yeah.
And then so I was like, "Yeah, well, we could talk about it." And then we talked about it. And then that 3 months, I just spent the 3 months writing the book.
Wow.
It's 15 chapters, and I was writing almost a chapter a day, and then going back and editing it. You know what I'm saying? So
that's awesome. Oh, well, that's a whole nother discussion we'll have to have at another point. But where can people find the book? Is it available? Is it out?
No, it's not available yet because it's right now. He has it with he's got to go through 2 editors.
Yeah.
He's got
I can
one
only imagine.
basically. So once that's done, then he's thinking about whether he should self-publish it or if he should go through a publishing company.
Sure.
And, we're talking to a couple of people about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Once he's done with that, then because what he wanted to do was to create a book. It's a story about his story, but it's not his story. It's more of and the reason why I jumped on it is because it's a compelling story showing he wants to show other kids that because I remember when I was a teenager, I picked up the book Monster by Cody Scott, and I read Cody Scott's book Monster, and I mean, I don't know how many people he killed, but I mean, reading the story, and I'm like, whoa, I had things like, and he published it as a nonfiction, but a lot of people that were in the West Coast that know about that story say it's not nonfiction, it's real. It's just
Wow.
changing the name around. But it gave you an insight into that life, the gang life, and what's
right.
So you can decide whether you want to go to that route or don't want to go that route.
Yeah.
You want to be able
Two
to,
paths.
he wants it. The way we wrote the story is that if you, as a teenager, take this book and you read it and you connect with the character and you travel through the character, by the end of the book, you will have changed.
Right.
Or you will have been inspired to change.
Yeah, I like that.
That's basically what his goal was with the book, and then basically have speaking engagements where you can go speak to the youth and help inspire them to not travel in the path that he went.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, any final, if people want to contact you, we've mentioned a couple times, it's lopesproductions.com and
Lopes Brothers, Lopes.
Thank you.
Just like my last
Lopes
name.
Brothers, Lopes Bros.
Lopes Brothers.com. Or if they go to erasemovie.com, because you see it I'm going the wrong way, but see it, Lopes Brothers on film, Erase.
Yeah, Lopez Brothers film.
Basically, go to lopesbrothers.com or go to erasemovie.com and you can
erasemovie.com. Great. And thank you so much for being with us, Jorge Lopes, and really nice to connect with you. My name is Kel Thompson. This is creativeprofessionals.com. If you are a creative professional, we encourage you to sign up for a free account at creativeprofessionals.com. And George, I guess we'll be in touch. I want to talk to you next week about a couple other things. So really nice to connect, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Anyway.